Hey guys, sorry I'm late. I got attacked by a kangaroo on the way back here. You know, it's just one of those things. Problem being in Australia. So guys, the newest episode of Pacifist % has come out. I guess it's been 3 or 4 years since the last one. So many people don't know that there was actually like 2 more episodes of Pacifist after the quote-unquote final episode. Like, you can see people don't know because, like, here's the final 3 episodes. Meltdown 1.3 million, Big Score 4.2 million, well deserved. Final episode 2.7 million. This was also an amazing episode. Like, it got way more likes than this one. This was an awesome episode, but it's shorter, got less pushed in the algorithm, I don't know. But there was 2 more episodes. There was the other assassination missions and the alternate heists. Both of these have very cool stuff in them, but they haven't even reached 1 million. Epilogue 1 and 2. So the true last episode of Pacifist % released July 16, 2023. And now we're back July 12, 2025 for Pacifist 2.0. So it's been 2 years since the final episode. But as I say in the newest Pacifist episode, I technically stopped recording in 2020. It took that many years for me to finally edit all the footage because it was like over 1,000 hours of footage of Pacifist. So Pacifist 2.0 seems to be doing well, which is good. I hope you guys like the thumbnail. I don't know what we're going to do for the next episode because I don't think we can really repeat this. Like, it's got the symbol for no guns, like, carved into the tombstone. It's got the original years of Pacifist, but then it's crossed out here. And like the 2 here is meant to be like Pacifist 2, but also peace. Get it? Isn't that cool? And like Michael literally coming out of the grave with the halo. It's so good. Very happy with it, but I don't know how we can't really do that same thing next time. As far as the name of the series is concerned, the original reason why it was called Can You Complete GTA 5 Without Wasting Anyone is because I didn't want to put kill or killing in the title. I was more concerned about that stuff 6 years ago when I was a smaller content creator and whatnot. So I used wasting, which is a thing that you get wasted in GTA anyway. This is 12-hour playlist, guys. 12 hours of Pacifist. But now I just write, do you really need to kill people to beat GTA 5? I don't know if that's going to penalize the video or not. Do you guys think I should change it to waste? Change the others to kill? Nah, it's been that way for so long it has to stay that way, right? Before I get to the episode itself to explain a thing or two, this episode, Can You Complete GTA 5 Without Wasting Anyone Part 6, it's finally been undemonetized and unage-gated. Surprisingly, it's still got decent views here, despite that happened. Unfortunately, the reason why how I got it fixed was cutting out a section of it.
You'll make sure this is one of them.
See, like, here,
Make sure
Alive, you are DONE fucked.
you'll make sure this is one of them.
Get 1,000 things every day. How about you make sure this is one of them?
Trevor becomes overwhelmed by the news and so lashes out at Johnny of the Lost Motorcycle Club. For unknown reasons, Johnny dies, so Trevor wants to take his lackeys.
like, I think it still works. But originally, obviously, it showed Trevor having sex with Ashley, and the full line from the guy on the TV, you forget 1,000 things every day, make sure this is one of them. But actually, Michael usually says, why don't you make sure this is one of them, or whatever, but anyway, doesn't matter. And of course, originally, I had a joke where I said Trevor speaks entirely in Australian, and as an Australian, I'll translate for you. And so every single time Trevor said the C word, I would have like a little translation at the bottom where it would say like, hey man, I'm sorry for our differences. I hope we can still be friends or something. But the video got demonetized fairly quickly. It's why, despite the video being 6 years old, it's made $600. And like here you can see $160 in its first month or something. It's like slowly, but like here it got remonetized. And you can see like it just goes, what? Like the number, like it's actually going at an upwards angle. Oh, look at this, because the new episodes come out, like the playlist is, people going back and watch the playlist. I saw on my Reddit where someone put a thing where they're like, it just shows how much DarkViper's ruining his old content, man. He's doing the whole George Lucas thing, going back and changing his videos, bro. Like he removed that whole thing out of episode 6 of Pacifist. And I'm like, dude, the video was age-gated. Like people who weren't logged in and were under the age of 18 literally couldn't watch the video. I spent probably a year fighting with YouTube to get that one fixed. Because originally, you're not meant to have multiple re-reviews and stuff. They would tell me no, and I'd come back 6 months and go, hey man, I was kind of hoping to get this video reviewed and get this fixed and stuff. Originally, I was blurring things and they still said no, and Eventually, I just had to cut it all. I figured out how to use these songs that YouTube gives you, because you can put their songs to cover your audio, but you're meant to put the actual song, right? And so I found a song that had like 5 seconds of dead air at the beginning of it, and so I cut down the song to that 5 seconds of dead air, and then I put that in sections to cut out words so that I could hopefully keep the video from those sections and still have the video lose its age gating. But they just wouldn't accept it. I put so much effort into trying to keep that footage in the video, and I was tricking YouTube at some point. I was like, I don't know if it's been re-reviewed before, guys. Maybe, but we got there. It's fixed. And as I say, I don't think the scene really suffers particularly that much for it. It still makes logical sense. That's good. And the joke of like where I say, for some reason, Johnny dies, like it still works, you know. So for the video itself, it seems there has never been an episode of Pacifist that's come out that hasn't had some error in it. The error in this video is that the kill count is wrong. At the end here, it says 95 kills, so it shows the change here. This brings our total kill count down to 95. So as you can see here, melee goes up by 1 and shots go down by 2. Neither I nor Martin Course in the original series, 2 people weren't shot, 1 was meleeed and 1 was shot. And so this count changes based on there being 2 shots in prologue. So the number should have been 6629. Talking to YouTube recently, they seem to have limited the amount of cases where they will replace videos. One of them that they said though that they would replace it for is errors in typing and stuff, typing errors. Like you put a bunch of spelling mistakes or something. I don't know the exact wording, but this is something they should replace and fix. So I've got a second version of this video up here, and I've asked them, that's what I was doing when the stream started, to try to get it replaced, and hopefully the right numbers will be there. The most embarrassing number error was, what episode was it? This one. This episode originally said Pacifist Part 14, and it looked that way for like 5 years. Until maybe 6 months ago, I realized that I could find all the files from the original Pacifist, re-render the whole thing. I could change Part 14 to Part 15 and to get the correct number here. And so I did that like 6 months ago. I mean, you guys don't like that I tinker with my back catalog sometimes, but, and a lot of creators don't do this kind of stuff, but I do. Like, and that's one of the advantages that I can fix stuff like that eventually. Because back in the day, you couldn't get video replacements. That wasn't a thing. But to the episode itself, I think it went pretty well. There was a little bit of debate as to the, like, what clips to use here. Like this one, most people wouldn't have seen. This was from the alternate Mayweather heist episode that was, I guess, the final episode. And they were levitating into the sky because the ladders, there's a bunch of clips here. I won't see the exact number. This was debatable whether I wanted this here because the melee only challenge hasn't come out on YouTube. It's only the VODs that are available. And in the VODs, I do video on demand. People don't know what VODs are. It's just old live streams. In the live stream, I showcase the strategy I use in Pacifist to hit Jaspers. So you would have already known of that strategy if you'd watched this stream, but I suppose most people haven't because most people don't watch those streams. I keep up as many of those as I can if you ever want something extra to watch. Like some people do go back and watch them, but we're not, I gotta find more people to make more of these thumbnails and stuff. Like this one hasn't been done and stuff. Farah, who did a lot of these, is doing editing for me. Normal editing is more important than these thumbnails, so it's better that he works on that stuff, but it'd be nice to have a few more here. Yeah, I specifically had to say in the episode that this wasn't a joke. You've heard of jumping for joy. Micheal apparently jumps for death. This isn't a joke, by the way. He does actually do this, and I have no idea why. I was concerned because of how many edits I've done in the series that people be like, oh, he's just throwing him to the wall for some reason. Like I was doing that, and I was like, no, that's real. That's a thing. Don't know why. Martin was concerned with this joke that you can hear him say SpongeBob. Of respect for anyone who doesn't use auto-aim, and so he's willing to wait for us. Trevor, I believe it's from some SpongeBob meme. I thought it was fine. Now that you say that, people probably wouldn't notice, right? I mean, people who know Japanese would probably notice. This was also something interesting where dividing this section of prologue into 4 sections isn't a thing. Like it was just something conceptually to help people understand what was going on. And you could have split it hypothetically into 5 sections, like, because technically these 2 cars could be called a separate section. But I just wanted to communicate the difference between inside and outside. And so that's why this was divided in this way. Invincible meme, yeah. I don't know if people got this. Let's see if I can find the original. So in the original Pacifist, I showed this clip because we were chasing the immortal guy for a million years and it felt like we were going to kill him, but we failed.
We were so close!
So close.
Because I felt like Hades trying to, beat Hercules or whatever, like a demigod. And so in the newest Pacifist, redoing Prologue, I was like, oh, it's actually kind of still syncs up again with Hades. So I put another clip. Now the question is,
How do you kill a god?
You can't. They're immortal?
Bingo! They're immortal! So, first you gotta turn the little sunspot.
Immortal.
it turns, I think, without the understanding that there was a reference to it in the first episode, that may have come out of left field. I still wanted to keep it in. I could have shortened the clip or something a little bit. Martin and Well made a lot of this stuff for me to get this stuff in here. Some people didn't get this reference. This is a reference to the movie Naked Gun. But the clip itself, the joke, is funny in any context. That's why I worked in Naked Gun. This is a reference to that movie. They have a joke in there. Oh, so the overall strategy here, I didn't discover this. It was discovered by Trims. That's why here, it was meant to be in the video, but I say here, also shout out to Trims, who developed many of the strategies for this run. He was a fan of the original who set out to help me improve it, and this series would not be nearly as good as it will be. I write this on my iPad. I just say it's just... And this series would not be nearly as good without him. Yeah, so this was Trims. And that's why there wasn't as much of there was like no footage of me figuring this out or discovering it. It was more me executing it and having some difficulties executing the strategy because it's a bit confusing and tedious. But this will probably be one of the biggest differences between Pacifist 2.0 and Pacifist 1.0. In Pacifist 1.0, I knew less about the game and so was discovering stuff in real time. When I came to Pacifist the second time, 5 years later, there were a lot of things that I knew I could do that would likely help me succeed. There were ones that I already knew that I could skip from, say, no damage. No damage informed some of these strats as well. But then with the added addition of Trims doing testing on his end and figuring out some strats for me, there isn't a lot of footage of me figuring things out. But there is a lot of footage of me failing to implement strategies because some of them are just so tedious and difficult. The Polito score is insane. I have no idea how we're going to edit that footage. There's this one clip that's somewhere around where it's like 2 tanks, 3 tanks, 4 tanks! And then I get shot by the tanks. It's a very funny clip and it's going to be in there. It's going to be hilarious. But if you're wondering why there's a difference in format, it's one that I was always going to do this. I wasn't going to include as much of the discovery as I did the first time around. But also because I just know more, there is less need to spend time on that discovery, and it's just more the executing the strats. Over here, where it says 14 here.
The fucking plan!
I'm gonna leave you, Mikey!
Someone in the comments was like, 14, that's way too many seconds. And I believe the intention was because it's 14. 14! A very subtle reference to the 14 meme. But yeah, so this episode ended up really great. And as I say, a lot of the stuff added, the Naked Gun joke and stuff, it's Martin's work. Martin has been editing with me since 2019. Editing with me the longest. Obviously, he didn't work on the original Pacifist, but if there's anyone I trust to help me get it out the door, it's him. So I'm currently writing the script for the next episode. The next episode will be Repossession. I don't know if we can do 1 mission per episode. It depends if there's enough footage for each episode. Like, we want it to be at least 10 minutes. Because we're only going to talk about the missions that required kills the first time round. That isn't every mission. There might only be like 20 missions originally. I can't remember the exact number. I could actually look it up, I suppose. Would be in Google Sheets. Well, that's also... Yeah, this hasn't been updated in ages, actually. I'm not even sure what the end total is then. But trust me, we knock off a lot out of this series. Like, if you've paid attention to no damage, even that would have shown you at least in 1 or 2 spots where kills are avoidable.
I liked the Grand Tour episode, haha.
You can always tell when Martin has worked on something if you see a reference to the Grand Tour. Because I know nothing about Top Gear. Oh, God. Someone on the Reddit post was like, man, it just shows how little involvement Matt has with these editing now. Like, he talked about how, like, there's always Top Gear references and Top Gear memes in his videos and he doesn't understand them. And it's like, those come from Martin, the dude who's been editing with me since 2019. They're like, oh, I missed the good old days of Dark Viper in 2020 and 2021. I was like, that is the same thing. There were Top Gear references in 2020 as well. Someone in the comments was like, you should remaster the original Pacifist. And I do have that goal. I'd hope to get that remastering out before this new season, but it's not going to happen now. It was always unrealistic it would ever be able to be remastered because it would take, it's so much footage and I have no one that I can dedicate to that. Because obviously the original Pacifist series showcases my improvements to my editing. The original episode is like so rough. It has a charm to it for that reason, but I don't have that kind of presence, that kind of voice that I have in my content later on. I'm not as good at speaking. I didn't script what I was going to say as readily. I would just think about what I'd want to say and just kind of ramble until it came out the way that I wanted to, and I would use that. Like the difference in editing between episode 1 and say the big score, or like any of the final episodes, is just monumental. That's what happens when you edit every single day for 4 years or whatever. However, yeah, the 4-year duration, so obviously I just got better over time. So like the series could be redone way better, but a part of the problem is finding all the footage, and I have worked on that. I'm figuring it out. But as I say, it's just such a low priority project that I'm not sure if it'll ever come out, and because it need to be done before GTA 6 and I'm running out of days, you know. Are you guys interested in my demographics for Twitch? Because new data came out. Or at least this is presenting data in a new way, I don't know. My average daily viewership, 479 viewers on average, which is dragged down by weaker streams and blah, blah, blah. It's actually going up recently. I'm not as big on Twitch as I was back in the day. Like, I have so many more viewers on YouTube these days. Yeah, so we're at like 685. Channel viewership by country: America 40%, United Kingdom 10%, Canada 6%, Germany 5%, Australia 5%. Down here though, my female viewership quite low. Unknown, because I don't think you need to give the information. But given how so much is unknown, this information is not very useful. Why am I showing you this? I don't know. It is good here though that the majority of people are now not on web. Back in the day, the majority were on web, but I guess it shows that Twitch is more expanded into the mobile market, which is nice. But I can also now do my own promotions for subs. Like I can have 70 hours, is it per year? Yeah, I guess per year I can do 7 promotions to give you guys 35% off gifting 5 subs. It's not that significant, but like people have called for the longest time to be able to give limited time promotions and stuff. So Twitch has been making all these moves recently to try to generate more income because they're not profitable. The reason why I have that additional data is because they wanted to package the data that they have to make it easier for sponsors to go through Twitch themselves to sponsor individual streamers, because they just want more money. Amazon's like, where's the money? We spent so many billions of dollars on your bloody ass. Give us a bloody return. Actually, it wasn't billions. It was a bit less than $1 billion, but you get the idea. They spent quite a bit of money. It's been quite a few years since Amazon bought Twitch. How many of you knew that Amazon owned Twitch? Like, some people don't know that. You know, I suppose they've got Amazon Prime, so like that's probably the biggest giveaway. Although it's not even called Amazon Prime anymore, is it? Twitch Prime. Twitch Prime. Yep, right. And it is Amazon Prime. I'm dumb. Ignore me. This was kind of a weird post to me. GTA 5's Micheal, Trevor, and Franklin want to return in GTA 6 for one last score. And even Nez down here. Wouldn't that be nice? 5 stars. It isn't as though this isn't something that other companies have done. Was it Watch Dogs 3? They had DLC that brought back Aiden Pierce from Watch Dogs 1 and Wrench from Watch Dogs 2. Am I correct in that? Yeah, Legion, which is 3. Yeah. So it's not inconceivable, right? Which, like, its own standalone DLC for GTA 6, where the 3 of them do one last score. But, like, why would they do that? Like, I don't think it doesn't make logical sense for Micheal, Trevor, and Franklin to do one last score together, given where we left them in the story. It also doesn't make sense for them to be in the area that GTA 6 is set in, traveling quite a ways, the 3 of them, who are all 3 separate in their lives now. It makes more sense for them to do a story DLC for GTA 5, but of course Rockstar hasn't never done one of those. As long as you don't count the content that came out with the next-gen versions way back when, which you shouldn't. It was a little bit of a bonus for people to buy the game again. It wasn't much of a DLC, really. And certainly wasn't a story DLC. Doing it online makes a little bit more sense. But again, none of them really need the money. It's hard to conceive of some story aspect that would lead them to all, for non-monetary reasons, just go on a heist again. You could write it and you could do it, but why? I think it makes far more sense for Micheal and Trevor, or even just Micheal, to have his own DLC for GTA Online. That makes sense. Micheal has some problems at the movie studio, and you have to help with something related to that. And maybe even Trevor could be involved. Like, I don't know, like he has, because he's a lifestyle guru now. He has friends who are working on the movie, and Micheal and Trevor team up to fix whatever problems are going on, right? That makes sense. And if you really wanted to, then maybe they could like call Franklin and be like, look, man, we need your help with this. Like that's conceivable. That could happen, right? But one last score, the final heist, like robbing a bank or something, nah, it doesn't make sense. Like I'm not entirely against this in GTA 5, but for GTA 6, I'm against it. I don't think it makes sense. And it'd just be so out of left field. Recently, I had some issues with malware that drove me goddamn insane. So I've kept it on there now. And 2 days ago, it started to freak out. Like it was just popping up continuously. Da-da-da-da-da-da, you've got malware. Someone's trying to get into a malicious website. And I'm like, what the hell? Every time I go, okay, you blocked the malicious website, cool, I close, and they would just keep popping up over and over again. And so I looked into what it was trying to direct me to, and I ran across this article. Malicious Chrome extensions with 1.7 million installs found on Web Store. It says here, users should check for the following add-ons in Chrome browser and remove them as soon as possible. So I'm looking at these, like I don't recall any of these, but this one, video speed controller. I was like, what? But it turns out that there's like a malicious version and a real version. And apparently, accidentally, I had, because I used to have this all the time. I used to use it all the time, so I re-downloaded it. But it's one of these is a virus. Okay, this has got a weird logo now. But like at one point there were two that were identical, and apparently I downloaded the wrong one. Maybe it's this one down here. Yeah, it might be this one down here. I was like, when my mods saw this, they were like, "What video speed controller? I have that on my PC, but it's a fake one." I don't know. I guess I just wasn't paying much attention. I downloaded the wrong one. But I mean, you'd think that Google, of all people, wouldn't let malware-infested extensions onto their store, but I guess they do. So if you have any of these, check that you've got the right ones. Maybe scan your PC with Malwarebytes or whatever, or something equivalent. This is just a PSA, a public service announcement. Whenever I use abbreviations like that, there's always someone who's like, what? Why do you need to control the speed of the video, Matt? Before, in the past, you could only do videos up to 2 times speed. These days you can do more, I think. Oh no, they're back to 1. I guess they removed it. But I sometimes want to go faster than this. If it's my own video, I can do 3 times speed. Everyone else's videos I'm doing like 2.2. Like if I need to quickly review a video, I need to go faster than 2.